Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kurt, and welcome back to Far Lands or Bust. I'm waking up once again. I don't have my workbench out because I don't think I needed it last time, but I do need to remember to create a shovel. Anyway, we were taken by surprise by some creepers over the past few episodes, so I need to be extra careful. Yes, so let me fix that. Get Wolfie. We need to make sure that we are going west again. For the third time in a row, I started traveling in the wrong direction last episode, so nuts to that. I need to pay closer attention to my compass. Ooh, spookiness. It is in, what did I mention before? Episode 50 is where I'm finally going to do some spelunking to get that final piece of gold to make the clock that I've been meaning to make for the past 50 episodes, so look forward to that. But anyway, yes, Far Lands or Bust, we're back. I just checked and we're at 43% of our goal for Child's Play charity, trying to reach $8,200, so please keep going to farlandsorbust.com to check that out and to contribute if you would like, and I would be much appreciated. Also, I just updated Minecraft to 1.7.3. I think it appears to be stable enough where... where's Wolfie at here? I guess he could use some pork, but... and I don't need to be carrying around all this crap. But yes, I updated to 1.7.3. I think we're stable enough where we shouldn't have any problems. I think most of the bugs that were fixed were due to the pistons. And since I'm not using pistons... Wolfie, do you not want this pork? Okay, fine then. Nuts to you. Oh, so I don't think we have to worry about that. But anyway, we're up to that. There is, however... and it has been brought to my attention by quite a few comments. There is a possible issue that may arise when they release 1.8, because that is going to be a big update. It's going to add adventurers and a whole new kind of terrain generation situation, where there's going to be ravines, and I know they want to make the biomes even bigger, but... mentioned on Twitter by Jeb on Twitter. He's one of the developers at Minecraft, or Mojang. Somebody asked him, when 1.8 is released, will people need to create new worlds in order to see all the new stuff, i.e. the adventures, the NPC villages, and all the extra crazy map generation stuff? They were asking, do they need to create new worlds, or will current worlds be able to start generating that stuff? And then Jeb responded, he said, I'm afraid they will have to start new worlds, or else there would be chunk errors. So that sounds problematic for me. It was followed up by followed up by somebody asking in 1.8, causing chunk errors on current saves. Will people be able to explore their maps just fine if they stay in the currently generated areas, as opposed to heading outside of the currently generated areas, which that's all I'm doing in Far Lands or Bust, is heading west towards the newly generated areas and towards the Far Lands, to which Jeb responded, yes, they will be fine. I think that's in response to if they stay within their currently generated map. And he said, what he said about the chunk errors, he said that was only in relation to the question asked if 1.8 features could be entered into 1.7 maps. I'm not sure what that means. That's a little bit hazy. I guess I'll have to wait to hear any... This is very sparse little islands here. Ooh, little mountain. I think we'll have to wait to see about that still, but it might be the case where I can't upgrade to 1.8 for fear that it would totally screw up this Far Lands or Bust world. I hope that's not the case, but we'll have to wait and see. Maybe I personally can get a hold of somebody at Mojang to see But what else do I need to do? I need to create a shovel and probably a new pickaxe. Oh, Wolfie! Dang it! Oh, there's my pickaxe, and there's my shovel. Anything else? Nothing else? Wolfie, stop it! Jeez. Oh, that was kind of funny. Okay. So yeah, we're going to have to wait and see. Maybe, and I know Notch also mentioned that when 1.8 is released, there's going to be different game modes. So perhaps like the adventure maps and things are going to be part of a different game mode, and I can simply avoid that by not playing in that game mode, but still being able to update to 1.8, because I'd like to obviously upgrade to 1.8 and play in that. Maybe that'd be interesting to create a new world. Obviously, we can't do that in Combat Canyon either, because that's already an existing map, but we will have to wait and see on the news on that. But rest assured, I will figure something out. I am dedicated to the Far Lands or Bust expedition. If I need to not update, that is what I will have to do. Maybe I can, I don't know, upgrade on a separate virtual machine or a separate computer or something like that, so I can do Let's Plays like that. But anyway, that's where that stands. I have been getting a lot of questions and people saying, oh, have you heard this? You're totally screwed with your Far Lands or Bust world. So I'm keeping an eye on that. As far as I know, 1.8 is still a ways away, so we will have to wait and see, and we will enjoy the time we have as we continue to the Far Lands as it is right now. Good thing I made the shovel, because I need it right now. Here we go. Hey. So yes, thank you for all those messages. Also, I would like to, as an aside, thank username who goes by TheViewer540 for the message he sent me. I do get quite a few personal messages, as in direct messages, through my inbox, and I do try to read them all, but it's starting to get to the point where I can't keep up and I can't respond to them, so please don't feel offended if I don't respond to your message or your comment. It's just getting to the point where I can't keep up with them all at the moment. Obviously, I try to respond in videos by replying to questions and things like that, but I just wanted to give that brief shout out. The Viewer 540 sent quite a long and a very nice message, so thank you very much for that. I did read it. Also, I've been getting a lot of messages, at least on the previous Far Lands or Bust, because it was the where I mentioned a lot of things about the space shuttle, the final space shuttle launch. And I understand a lot of you either aren't in the United States or haven't been keeping up with that, and a lot of you were concerned and wondering why is it the last space shuttle launch? What am I talking about? And also I noticed my local news gave a whole 18 seconds of coverage to the final space shuttle launch before going on to other news that night. So it's unfortunately does not get the coverage it deserves. Obviously I'm a huge fan of the space exploration and stuff, so I keep up with it more than other people might, but basically it is the last space shuttle launch. Whoop, Wolfie, be careful. Ooh, it's a lot of sheeps. It's the last space shuttle launch because after the Columbia disaster, where they lost the space shuttle Columbia on re-entry, it was pretty much deemed that the space shuttle is quite dangerous still, even after all these years. And it was time to retire the fleet, even though since then every mission has been successful. It's just, it was back in the Bush administration that they decided to set 2010 as the retirement date for the space shuttles. We had some delays and whatnot, so we're now in 2011, which actually is pretty apt. It's exactly 30 years after the first space shuttle launch was in 1981, so making a nice even 30 years for the program. But it's the last space shuttle launch of the 3 orbiters that we have right now, and we're back when President Bush and his administration set forth the plan to go back to the moon with Constellation and new rockets. It was due to be replaced by that, but Constellation was way behind schedule and way over budget, so the latest administration set forth to cancel the Constellation program, but there was nothing to be done about the space shuttle program, which was already in work to being on its way to be canceled. So you couldn't like stop that and let's restart the space shuttle program again. So that's where that stood. So we're still canceling the space shuttle. It's not, despite what a lot of people are saying, it is not the end of United States human manned space flight. For whatever reason, there we go. The trolls of the media and whatnot are saying, we don't have a space shuttle anymore. Good thing I made that other pickaxe. We don't have a space shuttle anymore, so it's the end of United States manned space flight. That is not the case. It's just a brief moment where we don't have our own spacecraft to send our astronauts to the International Space Station, so we'll be hitching rides on the Russian Soyuz spacecraft to get to the International Space Station. I didn't want to make a boat. I want to make a bed. Hold on, let me concentrate here. Making beds is serious business. There. Okay, going to sleep. Woof. And then, we're doing that. A lot of people seem, I don't know, for some reason offended by that. Like, we should be doing it ourselves, and we can't be depending on the Russians. But I think in order to go forward with manned space flight and all the future missions, we're going to need to have more of a global outlook. So we can't be, us versus them. Hello, creeper. You don't see me. Oh, crap, he sees me. Sort of. No, he's just hanging out under the tree. I'm going to get out of here while I still have a chance. Come on, Wolfie. The creeper's afoot. What was I saying? Talking about the space shuttle retirement. Yes, it's not the end of manned space flight for the United States. We still have astronauts. We still have them living on the International Space Station as we speak. And we're still going to be sending some more as we speak. So don't worry about that. It's just the space shuttle program has come to an end. And I kind of agree with that as well. Because the space shuttle, all it can do is go into low Earth orbit. It can't go to the moon or anywhere beyond that. And it's been great. And it built... without it, we couldn't have built the International Space Station, which, as we know, is still going to be used up until 2020 at least. It's a wonderful laboratory for learning about long-duration space flight and its effect on humans, among other, science and experiments. They're learning about, different cures for cancer that you can only test in microgravity and things like that. So that's all good and great, but... it's time to move on to other bigger things, and part of this plan is to hand over sending astronauts to the International Space Station in low Earth orbit to private companies. And one of those, SpaceX... Oh, Wolfpack. This guy's having a swim. Say hello, Wolf. There they go, kissing again. Why are they always kissing? Wolfie is lonely. Oh, Lord. What was I saying? Yes, so SpaceX actually is even further ahead of schedule than the Constellation program was before it was canceled. And hopefully soon we'll be sending resupply cargo transport to the International Space Station, and then eventually, once they get certified, to send manned missions to the International Space Station. So that I'm looking forward to, and that makes a lot of sense because these private companies are able to do it for much cheaper than we have been able to with the space shuttle. And that was one of the problems with the space shuttle, is that it was quite expensive because it was quite risky still. All these procedures and whatnot. It was originally intended to be, a cheap alternative after the Apollo program to get into space, but it turned into quite, unfortunately, a budget nightmare. And a lot of that has to do with some of the bureaucracy, which actually is the problem with the Constellation program. Was they tried to, let me try to say this. In terms of politics, because it was a government-run program, a lot of Congress people said they wouldn't vote for it unless this part or this component of the program was built within their constituent state. So you see a lot of the map of all these parts being built for Constellation. You know, each state has this part or that thing built, and that, while it sounds great that yes, it's creating jobs in all these different states, it kind of turns it into a big bureaucracy where then the budget gets overblown because you have all, instead of consolidating where all these things can be built, you have everything built in all these different states and whatnot. So that was also a problem with the space shuttle program. So the thing that private companies have is they don't have to, you know, respond to all those, you know, constituencies around the world and stuff. They can consolidate how they manage and build things. And I think one of the interesting things about SpaceX was they were able to, the first successful launch of their new capsule, and I think it's the Dragon capsule, and the Falcon 9 is their rocket. The entire launch, they built and launched that rocket, the launch pad, everything, for less money than it cost the Constellation program to build one of their launch pads and launch gantry towers, which is now going to be unused anyway. So that's kind of an interesting bit of trivia, that they were able to do that for less than what it just cost to build one launch pad for the Constellation program. And so that's kind of what's happening. I've got off on a tangent there when I was talking about, yes, it's the final space shuttle mission. All the space shuttles are going to be going to museums, but it's time for that. We're going to try to, you know, eventually go to Mars, but maybe make a pit stop at a near-Earth asteroid or something like that. So basically, private companies are going to be taking over, going into the, I guess what you call routine, going into low Earth orbit, going to the International Space Station, whereas NASA is going to be charged with pushing the boundaries with plans and missions to go to asteroids and perhaps onto Mars, perhaps back to the moon, even though that's partially not part of the plan. I would like to see us go back to the moon. We haven't been there in quite a while, and it's, you know, it's kind of a nice testing ground for then going on to Mars or etc. So yeah, so that is where that stands. I hope I've explained it. Oh, dang it! How do I get down? Hope I explained that enough. I know, like I said, a lot of you might not be from the States, and you know, you might not have the latest news on that, but that's where that stands. Ooh, spooky. But yes, indeed. And yes, a lot of current space shuttle workers are going to be laid off at the end of the mission here, which is unfortunate, but it's kind of, you don't want the space program to be turned into like a jobs program, and while I do feel, you know, bad for them. If I was working on the space shuttle or space flight, I would do everything in my power and, you know, fight to the last straw to keep that job, because it would be absolutely a dream to keep that job. So I certainly respect them for kind of, it is kind of a sad time for them for having to be let go from what they do, and hopefully they can continue doing what they do, whether it be through these private companies or whatever comes next for NASA. But it's kind of hard, you know. They have on the top of their resume, they have "I worked for NASA," so I don't know how difficult that's going to be compared to somebody who doesn't have that on their resume to find a new employment. So best of luck to them indeed. But anyway, where was I going with that? I think that pretty much sums it up. Piano music playing me out. If you do have any more questions, I will try to be more prepared, and maybe I should do some research about XYZ, about what you guys ask about the space shuttle or NASA or things like that. But indeed, there hasn't been much. We're in a snow biome now, but there hasn't been much crazy, awesome, interesting landscape lately. A lot of these sheer cliffs that I'm having problems navigating. Ooh, I just suddenly, it's about, what is it, 1:30 right now? I just suddenly got very hungry all of a sudden. You know, when you get the hunger shakes, your blood sugar's low. So after this episode, I'm going to grab a bite to eat. And and I'm still walking west. Okay, I'm periodically checking the compass because I don't want to mess up like I did before. And also, speaking of NASA, I do have good news, bad-ish news. You know, I did apply for future tweetups, and I actually just heard back that I did get accepted to the Juno tweetup for the launch of the Juno spacecraft, which is going to Jupiter. It's a robotic spacecraft, which is supposed to happen on, and this is sooner than I thought. I thought it was August or October or something like that, but it actually happens on August 4th and 5th. So I got accepted to that, but I haven't confirmed it yet because I'm still waiting to hear about the tweetup in Houston at Johnson Space Center that they're supposedly having during this mission, which I'm surprised we haven't heard about it because that happens in a week on July 18th. Yes, July 19th actually. So I hope they get those notifications out. My chances of getting to that are even less just because they are only accepting 30 people for that. But I would like to hear whether or not I get into that because that would be pretty awesome because with that one they're going to give a tour of the training facilities. They're going to let the tweetup members ride and or fly in the space shuttle simulator, which is what the astronauts actually train on to fly and land the space shuttle. So that would be excellent to get into. I would prefer to go to that one, but I'm still, if not, I'm definitely going to accept to go to the Kennedy Space Center to do the Juno tweetup. So it's like a pre-built little house here. I know it's cold, but have a seat. Wolfie, get back here. Thank you. So yes, that's good news. At the very least, I will be hopefully heading to Kennedy Space Center at the beginning of August for the launch of the Juno spacecraft. And like I mentioned before, I would be delighted if maybe they would take us on a tour of the space shuttle facility to take a look at what they still have there. Oop, there we go. So I will certainly keep you updated on that. And whether or not I get into the Houston tweetup, which is less likely, but that would be awesome. But anyway, I forgot to do a YouTube channel feature. I think instead, since I'm not really prepared, I will do a YouTube video feature, which actually is kind of funny. Somebody who goes by, this is a long name, Saishin Bun Rei Tsusho, was kind enough to create a remix and a what's that called? Where they edit your voice. Anyway, they did a remix of my Floating Block of Ice song, and perhaps some of you have seen this. It was in my favorites list, but they made a Floating Block of Ice song. So they set it to music. They did the voice, whatever that thing is, where they adjust your voice to music. So go check that out. I will put a link right in a annotation right here, and also in the video description. So go check that out and get your groove on to the Floating Block of Ice song, which was a few episodes ago I made up on the spot while I was playing Minecraft. So it's very funny. Check that out. It does tend to get in your head, so sorry about that. But anyway, end of this episode. Please, once again, go to farlandsorbust.com to contribute to our Child's Play charity fundraiser. We're slowly getting to our goal, and I appreciate every one of you who contribute. And also continue to like, comment, and subscribe to this video if you haven't already. And I will see you next time. My name is Kurt. I will see you next time. Ooh, zombies. That's not good. Anyway, I will see you next time. Good night.